Coming up next on In the Box Seat podcast.
Career. I don't think I've really settled in a place for longer than, to be honest, Australia's probably been the longest I've settled in one place, which was Adelaide.
He left South Africa with a strong, proper South African accent. He's come back to South Africa. What accent is that?
Nah, mate. No, it's certainly still got the South African accent, Mr. Linferno.
We've got Callan Murray in the hot seat today, and we were just chatting off air about the good old days when he walked into the South African Jockey Academy for the very first time. Hadn't ever ridden a horse, hadn't been in a race, and we're going to hear his story now, and my oh my, what a story it is. Nice to have you on the podcast, and welcome back.
Thanks, Mr. Linferno. Yeah, there's certainly a lot of fond memories, you guys taking us to Wakaberry when we were apprentices, and obviously a long way from that now, but good to be on the show.
Now, Cal, what was it that appealed to you? Not everyone's a jockey. What appealed to you? Who approached you, and what about the sport appealed to you?
Well, look, to be honest, Mr. Linferno, I was probably 14, very young. Didn't really have too much planned for my life at that stage. Just going through the motions at school, and one of my dad's close friends was a guy by the name of Dave Durant, who's obviously was a very respected steward in South Africa. Unfortunately, he's not with us at the moment, but he was a massive influence in getting me into the South African Jockey Academy. And to be honest, I just thought it was quite cool. Not that much school, riding horses for a job, and I didn't give it much thought at all, and took the opportunity when I got in and started riding at the academy and never looked back.
The demographics have changed a bit in the sense that, yes, you've got to conform to the right weight, the right size, bone structure, and all the rest of it. But, you're quite a taller jock, and there are tall jocks around the world.
Yeah.
But you have no issues with your weights, is that correct?
Look, it's something that I have to look after, and I've now that I've got a bit older, I've learned to manage it a lot better. I've been very fortunate that I was able to work with good dietitians, and I'm able to do it the right way when I do get my weight down. But I've also learned to allow myself a bit of freedom to get it up when there's probably not so important races around. And I think you have to give your body that break, and I find that my weight's a lot more consistent doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the right way, indeed. So what would you say you're comfortable? Somebody asked you on one of your winning interviews, but I do forget. What is the comfortable weight that you...
Look, I'd like to say it does depend, because, if I am going into a season, I'll go into a calorie deficit where I'll get my weight to a lower point. Obviously, I'm generally... being under 60 is probably unnatural for my height, so I'm always pretty well underweight, but which means that if I let it go, I could probably get heavier than that. So, look, I'd like to say 56 is pretty comfortable with me still being able to enjoy my weekends off. But obviously, my priority is my career, and if there's big races on the line, like during the season, at the moment, I'm going to be focusing on getting it a bit lower to give myself those opportunities.
Are you happy with? You've travelled to Australia. You're back to South Africa. In the future, around the world. I mean, you've got your brother-in-law Keegan, who's in Hong Kong. I mean, what I'm saying is, would you be open to travelling the world later on in life?
Absolutely. I've done a lot of travelling in my career. I don't think I've really settled in a place for longer than. To be honest, Australia's probably been the longest I've settled in one place, which was Adelaide. And I'm very open to traveling. It's a great experience for your life. I've met so many wonderful people through traveling, and obviously the experiences of, especially if I'm able to ride horses internationally and have successes, it's all very special.
Yeah. I must say, and I say it with the greatest respect, and you probably will agree with me. You left South Africa a young boy you've arrived back a young man. Have you? I've seen the change. Have you seen the change? Surely you must look back and be so happy with your progression.
Yeah, definitely, Mr. Linfern. Look, I definitely, when I got to Australia, I had a lot of fun and that sort of thing. And, it was tough for me to adapt, especially into the racing there and that sort of thing. And it was a big wake-up call for me. And living on my own, being alone, I had to learn a lot of life skills. And I certainly think that myself, I've grown up. I look at things with a completely different perspective now. I know when to enjoy myself and when to put my head down and work hard. And it's been a good journey.
Talking about being alone, alone no more. You've met a lady by the name of Danny. Tell us a bit about her and her involvement and how you met.
Yeah, very
recently engaged, and congratulations.
Yes, thank you very much. Look, I was very fortunate to meet Danny. She's been a lovely add-on to my life. She's my other half now, as they say, and she certainly keeps me grounded, keeps me in line, and someone I'm always able to talk to. So I'm very fortunate to have her in my life. How I met her is actually through Matthew de Kock. When he was over in Australia, Danny was working on the ground for him, and I obviously went and visited Matthew quite often. And Danny was, I think, strapping a horse at Moonee Valley, and I just went with Matthew for the evening, and we certainly caught each other's eye, and I slid into the DMs and tried to message her and did my best work, and eventually that prevailed.
Okay, she's what a lovely story, and we look forward to meeting her. I'm sure she'll come racing in Durban, and it'll be lovely to meet her too. She also loves racing, as you say, loves horses, which really helps, because to have similar interests certainly does help.
Yeah, so Danny loves horses. She'd spend most of her time with them if she could. And she rides a bit of track work. She does a lot of work on the ground. She's not really familiar with the form and that sort of thing. She just loves the animal, which is lovely. So I'm sure she's going to love coming to the races here and seeing how we do it here.
You mentioned Matthew de Kock. You and him are, and this is something that always irks me, because there seems to be a stigma in racing. Well, that it's not right to have friends within the industry, which I find it very odd, because if you click with a person, and they happen to be in your... you live in racing all day, every day. You're only going to meet people in racing, really. Yeah. But that's for another debate. You and Matthew, the two of your greatest friends, almost you could call yourselves brothers. What is it that you and him, how come you hit it off so well? What's so good about? What's your bond about?
Yeah, well, look, obviously, Mr. de Kock and Matthew gave me massive opportunities from a young age. I had a lot of influences that helped me get into that stable. And my relationship with Matt grew with his father being overseas a lot during that time. And Matthew gave me a lot of guidance and always gave me great advice. And although our relationship was very professional, we became friends.
Sure.
And look, obviously we celebrated some of certainly some of my favorite moments in my life. For instance, was taking the peace win. It was just such a wonderful win with all his friends. So our relationship grew from there. And obviously he went to Australia and I followed suit. I was based in a different state, which was Adelaide. But shortly after getting there, I'd gone to visit Matthew and Monique, and that led on to spending Christmases with them and more frequent visits and riding the odd horse for Matt now and there. And I think our relationship as friends grew a lot, and he's always been a person, or you could almost say like a big brother. If I really need to talk about something, he's always been there for me, and he's had my back. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing, Callan, because you're quite right. Getting on, having one another's backs, loyalty, those traits and those qualities are hard to find nowadays in the big bad world. So when you find them, you find somebody who's got them, you certainly latch on.
Yeah,
and it's evident between the two of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way I see it is, Matt's running his business with his father. It's their business. They need to do the best thing for their business. So as long as your relationships last, you still have your friendships out of it, and that's how I view it. So I'm fortunate that I am getting the opportunities from them, but first and foremost, he's one of my good mates.
Let's talk about Australia now. With riding work to Australia in Oz, they're very big on times. Is that correct? Talk to me a bit about that, because they also use something called a beeper. What is a beeper, and talk to us about the times?
Yeah, so a beeper is just a metronome, so it will beep 60 times in a second, which means that you follow the beep and you're essentially getting 1 second. So they'll work to time, so that, for instance, I'd say do a 4 home 2, which means from the 800 you'll do evens, which is 15 seconds to the furlong, and then home 2 you'll sort of let the horse run up. You can do that in between 22 to 26, 27 seconds. Each trainer is different, but yeah, they work to times. And it's something I was familiar with from Hong Kong, and I had previously gone to Australia. And yeah, it's just a bit of a different way of working.
But also, I mean, it surely can't take away the feel. I mean, what you've got underneath you, what you've got in your hands, I mean, that's also hugely important.
Yeah, look, I much prefer working to feel, but times certainly have their place. When you're doing a solid 800-meter gallop and you time it, it gives you a very good indication of where a horse is, and it can, you can sort of know for certain based on times where they're at. So it certainly has its place, but every horse is different. Some might not show as much in the mornings and that sort of thing, and I think that's where feel's very important.
How different, Cal, is it from South African racing, Australian racing? How different is it, and how did you adapt?
Yeah, look, I actually struggled to adapt to Australia. There's a lot of tracks, there's a lot of racing, a lot of jockeys, so as
a lot of everything.
A lot of everything. So as a rider, every track was different. You also need to know the riders around you, sort of that sort of thing. And Australia is very different. A lot of tight tracks with short straights. And here you're able to settle a horse and be quite patient and ride a bit of a race. There, it's very important to get a spot, and momentum is key. So oftentimes you'll see in Australian racing people going wide, and that could be for a momentum sort of thing with a short straight. So you've got to be a very good judge of pace there. If they go slow, you need to take off a bit earlier, because if you're caught napping, you might not get a run, or you'll get there too late. So it's something I've had to learn, and it's sort of also taught me that horses are capable of making moves mid-race based on pace and that sort of thing. Not to take away that I like to ride horses patiently and that sort of thing, like you can ride in South Africa, but it certainly gives me a bit of confidence in decisions of, when in making decisions in a race when the pace might be slow or too quick.
What's brought you back to our beautiful country?
Look, obviously when Matt came back, it sort of, opened up the idea to me, and obviously Matt and I keep in contact, and he said, look, why don't you come over for a bit? Well, we just chatted about it, and I thought, you know what, why not? There's a lot of good racing over this Durban period and that sort of thing, so I thought I'd come home and have a crack, and obviously every jockey chases Group 1s, and it was hard to come by to get those opportunities in Australia, and look, I hope I can get as many opportunities as I can whilst I'm here.
Let's go on and chat about your family, because your sister is married to Keegan de Mello.
Yes.
I mean, the de Mello family are a great family, and how wonderful for the Murrays and the de Mellos, to join up and talk to us about that and about your family.
Yeah, well, look, when Keegan and Demi first started dating, I wanted to be the protective brother, and although I was a lot smaller than Keegan, I don't think I stood a chance at that time. Keegan's turned out to be such a wonderful man. I couldn't be happier for my sister and him to be together, and to see the way they raise my nieces together.
Gorgeous children.
Incredible. Like, I wasn't really one for kids, but they've certainly melted my heart, and I love them dearly. And my sister and I speak almost every day. We're very close, and just so happy that Keegan's her partner, and Keegan's family has been very opening to not only my sister, me too, and we spend a lot of time with them. It's really been wonderful how that's all worked out.
It'd be lovely to see Dion and Fiona. I'm sure we'll, maybe one day that Keegan's now overseas, but maybe one day when they're in Umhlanga or something, they'll pop into the races, because
Yeah.
they certainly are wonderful people. Mum, how's Mum doing? She's in Johannesburg, is that right?
Yeah, my mum's doing well. It's obviously, the last couple of years have been hard for her, with unfortunately my dad passing away and my sister and I moving
Yes.
away. It certainly hasn't been an easy time for her, but she's such a strong woman, my mom, and she's managed very well, looked after Foxy, who you might remember, my dog from the academy,
Yes.
very well. Foxy's getting on, but she's my mom's best mate, and she's doing well, and very, very happy to have me home.
I was going to say, when you came home, you left single. Your son's returned, and a future daughter-in-law. She must be thrilled.
She is thrilled. She's definitely encouraging Danny and I to look at children, which we're not in any rush to do, but I think she loves being a grandmother.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Do you have any other time? Do you have time, Cal, to do anything else besides racing? Do you have any hobbies or other interests?
Well, when I left, I didn't. But being in Australia, I grew quite a few other interests. One being cooking, which isn't ideal for a jockey. So a couple of my mates actually got me a smoker for my birthday, and I've loved smoking meats, making jerky. I make my own biltong in Australia,
sure.
Which I might say is very good. I'll have to give you guys a taste and see how I crack on against some of the biltong here. But I really love doing that sort of thing, and just spending time with my friends and my animals. It's become something that's quite important to me. It's very good to be able to debrief from racing in your spare time, and that's helped me create a good work-life balance.
Talking about animals, you've mentioned, of course, you mentioned Foxy, and in your lovely post on social media about your engagement, your dog was with you.
Yes.
You love your animals.
I certainly do, and I wanted to get a dog from when I got to Australia, and fortunately Danny came with a dog, and it's a beautiful Dalmatian named Ziggy, who's our baby. She sleeps in our bed, she eats half of our meals, which is good for me when I shouldn't be finishing my meals. But we had a lovely place near the beach, took her for a walk every day. She came to the horses with us. Ziggy's our baby, and if we do decide to extend our trip here, Ziggy's going to be on a very expensive flight over to South Africa.
The rest of your colleagues that you would have gone through your apprenticeship with, some have maybe fallen by the wayside, some are still here doing well. But how were you welcomed back into the jockeys room?
Oh, with open arms. It's I've obviously kept contact with a lot of the guys, but it felt like I never left when I walked back in. A few new faces,
yes,
who are nice to meet, and I'm looking forward to learning more about everyone.
Your sporting, you've spoken about your hobbies. Do you have any other, are you interested in rugby or anything like that?
Yeah, look, I've absolutely loved watching the Springboks. It's certainly made me very proud over there. The Aussies didn't like that. They always told me how much better they were at cricket than us. But we'll certainly catch them. But it was very good to see the Springboks be so successful. I had a friend, a South African friend, who would come over and watch the Springbok games, and we'd get dressed up, and it was really nice to sort of watch that. And I'm also a big fan of the UFC. Okay. I love following, so to see Dricus du Plessis being so competitive, it's great. And I think I like a lot of combat sports, so watching guys like Kevin Lerena and that sort of thing all interest me.
Geez, how great has Kevin done? I mean, I always, when I saw him at the World Sports Betting Met, we always remember, I mean, he's had one ride in his life, in a work riders race, one ride, one winner. And it was a great memory for me, because Gavin was in Umhlanga at the time, season time, and Kevin was with him, and all Kevin wanted to do was to ride. And we managed to get him a ride for Dennis Bosch at Clarewood, which he duly won. And then he just got bigger and bigger and bigger. But what a fighter he is.
Oh, what a fighter, and such a down-to-earth person. Obviously, I haven't had all that much to do with him, but he's always been such a fantastic person to talk to, considering how successful he's been in his life. And he's obviously very humble and still loves his racing, which we love to see.
It's amazing, talking about boxing, that you can meet these people that are humble and good temperamented, soft-hearted, and just lovely, lovely human beings. But put them in the boxing ring when it's work time, it's a different kind of vibe, because he's a great fighter, but out of the ringer, he wouldn't hurt a fly.
Yeah, I think you certainly have to be bred differently and have that in your blood, because obviously he's an animal when he gets in there, and such a gentleman when he's out of there.
The Australian lifestyle, restaurants and nightlife, etc. Is it better? Is it pretty much the same? Tell us about all that in Australia.
Look, there's a few differences. First being it's very expensive.
Okay.
You want to have a few beers out and a meal. You're looking at spending a couple of $100, but very nice cuisine, great restaurants. I was able to enjoy a lot of good meals with friends and Danny whilst I was over there. A lot of lovely restaurants. I'd like to say the drinking culture is almost similar to South Africa. Aussies love to have a drink, and it's very social, and that was nice for me to adapt in. Very, very friendly and good.
Now, the safety aspect, everywhere you go in the world, as far as I'm concerned, safety, unsafe. In South Africa, in Durban, there's areas that I feel supremely safe. You would go into certain areas you don't feel safe. Is it pretty much the same in other places in the world like Oz?
Look, I'd like to say Oz is very safe. Oftentimes I left my windows open and that sort of thing, and you might not be as lucky if you did that here. But being South African, I know sort of where to be and not be and how to react. So I think when Danny does come here, she's going to have to learn about those sort of things.
Okay.
But obviously, South Africa does have a bad reputation for its crime, but I'd like to say the beauty of the people and the country certainly overshines that for me.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. Talking about closing, leaving your windows open, just this morning, we've got troops and troops of monkeys in our area. And this morning, we also like our animals, but we haven't got dogs and cats just to our lifestyle. We've got rabbits and all those birds and everything else. Anyway, we got up this morning and went to go and let all the animals out into the garden. And unfortunately, I left the door open and went upstairs to get ready for work. And next minute, there was noise and everything else. Went downstairs, there was a troop of monkeys eating the dates, eating the nuts, eating the bananas that helped themselves at home. So, that's what happens when you leave doors and windows open. But let's talk about horses. In Australia, I don't expect you to go through them all, but a couple of horses that you were associated with, that you enjoyed, that you had success with.
Yeah, look, I was very fortunate to be associated with a few nice trainers, and one of my main supporters was a lady named Nikki Irwin, who's a really good trainer, and she was extremely loyal to me, and I was able to win, a good few races for her in Adelaide. And geez, it's the name, I forget the name right now, and I'll have to get it off air, but I rode the full brother to a horse that Mr. Johnson owned in the Derby in South Australia, which was actually my only Group 1 ride I had whilst I was over there. And it's a shame I forgot it now, but
doesn't matter.
He was a handy horse, and I'm pretty sure he won a Group 1 for Justin. So that was really nice, and there's a lot of horses, a lot of racing, so I was pretty well all over the shop there.
From where you stayed, you said there was a lot of tracks, a lot of racing, etc. From where you stayed, how easily accessible was it to get to work? Is it like sort of driving from Umhlanga to Summerveld, which is 45 minutes, or not as bad as that? Or worse?
I spent a lot of time in the car, Mr. Linferno. There was a lot of tracks in South Australia where I was based. I was based near Morphettville, which is the main metropolitan track, and that was 10 minutes from me, so I did a bit of work there. But the next closest track was an hour away, and they only got further and further away, so it wasn't uncommon for me to have to drive 4.5 hours to say a place like Mount Gambier, ride and drive home 4.5 hours, all in a day's work. Sure. So my car's racked up a lot of mileage.
Okay, sure. Okay, so it's not as easy as we've got it here.
Yeah.
In South Africa, your Grade 1 win on Taking the Peace, that was extra special, and even more special, the association this weekend. Tell us that story.
Yeah, well, obviously, it's a funny story. I think going into the Guineas, Matt, I thought the right horse would have been Silver Thursday, and Matt put me on taking the piece. I think just come back from Hong Kong, and to say I was a bit flat that I wasn't on Silver Thursday, but you know, Matt's always made the right decisions, and I can't be happier that I was on her.
Mardell Sir moves in. They're all set, and away they go in the SA Fillies Classic. Rockin' Russian began well, is one of the early leaders. Radiant Splendor's out there too, and Roy's Rivera on the far side. Cashel Palace. Mardell Sir very wide in those early stages, passing a lot of runners there. Further back to Forest Express, and that race is about 2 lengths off the leader now, gone very quickly. Silver Thursdays further back, Aurelia Cotter. Then comes Secret Potion. They followed wider out by Folk Dance and Green Top. Then London Secret. Fiorella 50 lengths off the leader. Saragon, Flickety by far, taking the piece is last. Taking the piece, 17, 18 lengths off the leader with 1100 to go. They spread out, they're going a good gallop, and Mardell Sir eventually got off to lead them. 2.5 lengths clear of Forest Express. Cashel Palace pokes her nose up in third. Back in fourth is Roy's Rivera, then comes Rockin' Russian. Silver Thursday gives them 5-6 lengths start, followed by Secret Potion, Radiant Splendor and Green Top. Then Aurelia Cotter, 10 to go with Fiorella. Wider out is Folk Dance, Flickety by fast. Further back, London Secret, Saragon. And taking the piece is still lost as they turn for home. 10 lengths to go. 600 metres to run in the Fulkerbos Drift. SA Fillies Classic, and Mardell Sir by 2 from Forest Express. Roy's Rivera. Rocking Russian looking for a way through. Cashel Palace, Silver Thursday on the outside. Secret Potion, Fiorella coming home smartly, and here's Green Top on the outside with Folk Dance. Anyone's call, 300 to go. Aurelia Cotter running on too. Green Top strikes the front. Fiorella taking the pieces, finishing up on the outside. Secret Potion, 200 to go. Green Top, here comes taking the piece on the outside. Green Top taking the pieces, flying. Taking the piece in Green Top, here it comes, taking the piece, won it! From Green Top, Secret Potion, Fiorella and Folk Dance, but it's mighty tight.
Well, I tell you what, you're not going to see many rides like this. This is supreme confidence. From dead last in the straight, Callan Murray has taken the piece home for Matthew de Kock. Michael Shea and Murray make peace. Well done, Callan. All I can say is masterful.
Please, God, I don't break any ribs from Michael. Well done to everyone, Matt. What a superb job. Great team, great filly, super job.
So you knew there was a good pace and you knew that you would pick it up?
I was happy at the back, but I did get under a bit of stress coming to the straight.
Well, you have just given so much incredible joy. This filly taking the piece has created history today for Team de Kock. And Callan Murray is the winning jockey. Nico Kritsiotis will bring them home.
She got back and flew home and won that, and that was such a thrill for Matthew, I think, because his close friends, Murray Makepeace and Michael Shea, are such characters.
Sure.
Were involved, and I think it was so special for Matt with them being such close friends that they were involved, and then to go on to win the Classic was even more special, a Group 1. You know, I think Murray gave me that famous hug that I thought would have broken my ribs, and we certainly had great celebrations around that, and the fairy tale didn't come true with the Oaks win, but what a journey. And now to be able to ride her son, who obviously looks like a very progressive type of horse, to win first start against the older horses as a 2-year-old. I think the second horse was also a very capable horse, and I think my horse was still quite green, so he's certainly a horse that we hope could have a nice future.
It's amazing, as you say, because you're only 28, and as you were saying when we were walking into the studio here, you know, that to have won and done all you did on taking the piece, and then to now, as you say, win on her son. I mean, that's special, you know.
Yeah, it makes me feel a bit older now
that doesn't matter.
riding mares, babies and that, and you know, also there's a lot of stallions that I've been associated with.
Absolutely.
Like Rafif, Heavenly Blue,
Hawam.
They have all been major parts of my career. Rafif was one of my favourites. Heavenly Blue, my first Group 1 winner, and Hawam, probably one of the best horses I've ridden. So absolutely spectacular that I'm able to ride some of their progeny now.
Amazing. It is such a wonderful feat. And And Hawam, yeah, I mean, we know Rafif and all the rest of it, but Hawam is, producing some beautiful, good-looking horses. And I had the privilege of meeting him at Wilgeborgsdorf when we went down there not so long ago. Hawam, just a magnificent beast, and his babies, I'm sure, are going to be very good.
Yeah, one can only hope so, but he was certainly a very special horse, and looks to hopefully have some good babies.
Then taking no prisoners is the horse that you won on the weekend. Lovely that you've hit the ground running. You're back and you're in the winner's box nicely, quickly, because it could, things can happen the other way. You could have come back and only had your first winner back in 8 weeks' time.
Yeah, exactly right. And obviously, I think pretty well all three have been sit and steer jobs, thanks to Mr. de Kock and Matt. You have to have the cattle under you to be winning races, and they've given me good support, and I've got good support outside of them too, which is really nice, because obviously I want to try be getting on the best horses I can for every race, and I'll be working hard to try and achieve some of those sort of goals.
Dave the King was yesterday. Tell us, how it was a good win.
It was a very good win. Obviously, the race sort of changed shape leading into it on paper, with the two speed horses coming out, and he pinged the lids, and I thought got a nice, soft enough first 2 furlongs, which is what you probably want to have with a horse like him coming off a rest. We're looking towards bigger targets like those Group 1s. So for him to have a nice, relaxed run early and to be able to finish off without doing too much work is really good for their race fitness and that sort of thing.
On their way from the 1500 metre marker, Dave the King in the white silks is the early leader. Cherry New is near the rail. On the outside of that one, Royal Victory, Anfield's Rocket, Baratheon is on the right-hand side. They're followed by Cherry New, African Skyline. That's racing about 5 or 6 lengths off the leader, and then comes Rapidash. Master Fiego's further back in the run, and King Palace, the trailer, about 9 or 10 lengths top to tail. Dave the King is controlling the pace. Back in second, Baratheon, Cherry New third, and Anfield's Rocket is fourth, then Rapidash. On the outside of that, Royal Victory, then Pacaya, mid-division about 6 or 7 off the leader. Then African Skyline, King Palace. Behind that, Master Fiego. Master Fiego's about 12 or 13 lengths off the leader as they turn for home. Dave the King continues to lead by 2. Cherry New second, Baratheon third, Rapidash and Anfield's Rocket. Behind that, Royal Victory, then comes African Skyline. Top of the lane, 400 metres to go. Dave the King continues to lead it. Rapidash is now coming out for a run. Behind that, Anfield's Rocket. Cherry New on the inside, Royal Victory. It's still Dave the King past the 200 metre marker. Rapidash is trying to close it in inside the 200 metre, but Dave the King is still galloping, and they're not going to get to Dave the King. Back to this and wins it by about 3.
Yesterday's race was perfect. I think I went back and he ran in a similar race, or the same race, leading into the mile in the 1800 last year. He was only, I think, 0.3 of a second out, which obviously gives you a very good indication of where he is. And I think there's obviously a few factors like weight and the tempo yesterday that could indicate that it might have even been a better win yesterday than last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And now he's exciting, and it's glad. And as Mr. de Kock said in his interview, it's been a long journey, it's been a long road, and to see him perform like he did yesterday, and looking forward to going on through to the season. So that is very exciting, because he is certainly a champion. We are not going to go on for too much more, because you're here also for a bit of a holiday. So it's a gorgeous day. You wouldn't say it's winter or near winter, would you, with the sunshine and the heat?
No, it's wonderful weather, and obviously lovely to be in Durban.
Yeah. When are you? Oh, you rode at Hollywood Bet Scottsville yesterday, but when are you? Obviously, Daily News Day. You back at Hollywood Bet Greyville?
Yep. So I'll ride at the Vaal on Thursday, back at Greyville on Saturday. So fortunately, I've got my mom's place there, so I can bounce between the two, sort of where I'm needed, and ride work and races. And as I said, I'll be enjoying myself whilst I'm here, but my primary focus is to be winning races and doing well.
Yeah, absolutely. Callan, I want to end off with a bit of fun that we always, not always, but sometimes we do have. We call it the quick fire or the quick shoot or whatever it's called. just to have some fun with you and with the public. So I'm going to rattle off. There's quite a few of them,
Sure.
and I'm going to leave you just answer the way you feel happy. Let's go and start then with WhatsApp or voice notes.
Voice notes.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Okay. Watch a movie or read books?
Watch a movie.
Soccer or rugby?
Rugby.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
Drive or fly?
I like driving.
Left-handed turn or right-handed turn?
I don't have a preference.
Okay, as long as you're winning.
Yes.
Sprints or longer distance?
Probably longer distance, but as long as they're winning.
Dance or sing?
I wish I could sing. I'm terrible, and I'm probably just as bad at dancing, but if I could, I think I'd like to sing.
Party, a bit of a party, or going out or staying in?
These days, staying in.
Yeah. And then the last one is, can you be grumpy or are you pretty mellow?
I put on a mellow face, but I can certainly get quite grumpy.
Carl, it's lovely, absolutely lovely to have you back, and just thanks for your time, and lovely to have you here with us. And yeah, just all the best to you and Danny and the family, and we look forward to seeing you in the winners box here in Durban. And well done, because if you look back, and as I said, from when you first arrived at the academy to where you are today, you can only be proud.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Linferna, and it's been great to catch up with you, obviously, and to be able to do the podcast and sort of get my story out to the public is always fantastic and great publicity for me. And not only that, it was great to catch up.
Yeah. Now, but the last point is Andrew Harrison's my co-host. He's in the dog box at the moment because I don't know what his plan is. I need to calm down before I phone him. But he's not here today, and he's not going to be here for the next 3 weeks. He is adamant that the podcast is not watched much. Now, you were telling me from Australia you didn't miss an episode.
No, I loved watching it. It's great. It was an easy way for me to keep up with things that were going on back home, and obviously there's a lot of funny stories in and amongst it all, so it's always good to keep up.
Yeah. So you see, Andrew, even in Australia they watch the podcast, so all over the world. So stop your nonsense and get back here. Carl, all the best. As I said, lovely to have you back, and thanks for your time, and we look forward to seeing you in the winners box here.
Thank you very much.
Lovely. That's a wrap then from the In the Box Seat podcast team. Lovely that we've just touched base with Callan Murray, and what a joyous podcast. And we don't want to go on too long with him because he also wants to go and enjoy the beach and the sun. But we'll see him at Hollywood Bets Gravel on Daily News 2000 Day, and hopefully in the winners box. From all of us behind the scenes, Apiwe, Chapter's brother, Verse, Callan, Tawanda, and of course everybody involved with this production. Punt well, stay safe, be kind, and as always, we will see you in the number one box.